Hi, my name is Paige. Welcome to my channel. So I am going to just make this a little bit more of a casual video. I'm going to be rambling quite a lot because I did not really plan out what I was going to talk about in this other than going through some of my online trackers that I use, mainly Notion and my CAWPILE tracker, as well as maybe throwing in a little bit of Google Calendars on how I plan some of my videos and stuff. So this is basically just how I plan my videos, where I keep track of everything, and what my brain looks like through my organization. So it is a bit of a mess, and I do want to give a big thank you to Nat for making her Notion video a little while ago. I will link it up here because she helped me figure out a lot of things that I was doing wrong within my Notion, and I just think her brain is so incredible, and I want to have her organization skills. So she is heavily inspired in a lot of this, as well as a few random YouTubers that I've looked up when trying to troubleshoot some of this Notion setup, because Notion is not exactly intuitive and it takes a lot of trial and error to get some of this right. So we're going to start on my Notion page, and I should probably screen record that so you can actually see it. But starting off, we have kind of my landing page. I don't come here a lot. I just have it set up so that I can toggle on the left and expand my view and close it out when it gets a little overwhelming and I don't want to see it all. So here I just have it set up in a very basic way. I have a couple of rows with some pictures, a Taylor Swift quote, the focus goals that I have for myself for the year, like paying off my credit cards, saving money, and here are where all of those pages are linked. I don't really think they fall under the content or life categories. I just didn't want to make any more, so that's how they ended up there. And then I have a goals spot. So these are goals that I already wrote in my bullet journal. I just thought it would be nice to have them written here as well. And I do have them toggled because I'm trying to not overshare on some of my goals. And I don't know, I heard about it one time that if you share your goals, it's not the best. So I'm only going to share my reading and content goals. Hopefully that doesn't bite me in the butt. But here are some of those right there. And when I do achieve any of them, like here, I just highlight it and mark it as a strike through, and that's that. I don't really keep these updated a ton because, like I said, I just have this page so that I can toggle on the left. So let's go ahead and toggle that open and go down to these two at the very bottom where I have a reading journal and silly bookmarks. These have a little like thinking emoji next to them because they are just ideas that I had once and I wanted to store them somewhere, so I threw them at the bottom there. It's a lot of rambling and a lot of nonsense, so we're not going to show those because they're not cute and aesthetic. So we're just going to skip right over into my Taylor Swift rankings, and this was just something that I wanted to organize somewhere online. I would have put it on my notes app, but I had Notion up at the time and I wrote them all down. So I wrote down my initial rankings and my second rankings using Notion's database thing. I don't know. Will I ever use this again? Maybe when the album's been out for a month, I'll do a third ranking. I don't know. I just wanted a place to store that. That's what a lot of my Notion pages are. They're just like random things that I want to store, want to include, like my movies and shows. I don't watch a lot of them, so I wanted to give myself a way to track what I do watch and what I do end up liking and what I'm in the middle of. That's what a big chunk of these things are right here. Things I'm still ongoing and watching, or I started, never finished. And I don't update these very often. I did just update the idea of you. I should have filmed it, but I didn't. And I don't think I'll be updating this until probably middle of June when the second half of Bridgerton comes back. I don't really have a lot of movies that I want to see besides that new Zendaya one. I do kind of want to go see that, so maybe that will be on here later. But again, not a super important page, just like this next one is not very important. This is my travel page. This is where I intend to put all of the ideas of places to travel that me and my mom have, and I just have not compiled them. They are in my notes app and also saved in my Instagram reels and also saved in my TikTok that I deactivated. So I might need to reactivate that to see some travel ideas. But I don't want to do that to myself again because TikTok is a vortex for me. Another page I don't use is this cleaning schedule that I spent literally weeks setting up at the very beginning of the year. I set it up so that it would have these little buttons down here that I can click and it would give me my to-do list every day or every week. Never use them. never use them. What I do use instead is my Google Calendar, where I decided to add all of the cleaning tasks that I would like to do, either weekly, daily, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, whatever, as tasks. And then I put them here, and then I ignore them because I don't actually like a cleaning schedule. I like to clean when I feel like I have the energy or I want to. So a lot of these just get deleted, like this, where I did not clean my mirrors, and I definitely didn't wipe down anything yesterday. I did do my laundry, so I will mark that complete. But that's how I use that. I just completely ignore it on Notion and on Google Calendars. So even if you put it in a bunch of places, you might not achieve it either. This next little chunk right here is something that I try my best to keep up with. I just don't like how they're laid out. I don't think that they match my brain very well. So we're just gonna skip all of these first ones, I guess. I'll just quickly show you. Here's what my January reset looked like. I had a picture at the top and then a bunch of stuff at the bottom that I'll show you in my May one, because that's the one I'm currently on. Here's the pictures I chose for February. Here are the ones I chose for March, April, and May. And I literally go onto Pinterest and I just type in blah 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 aesthetic, blah 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 aesthetic, or blah 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 film, because I like that grainy film 90s look for a lot of these pictures. And May, I decided to go with aliens and UFOs because it matched my bullet journal. But this reset page doesn't really do much for me that I don't include in other places. I track my physical TBR count, which I do on another page anyway. I track my Goodreads goal, which I track on Goodreads anyway. I have my essential TBR list right here, which I track in my reminders app on my phone anyway. Here's my mini version of my content planner, which I have in another spot. So I feel like this is just a very redundant page and I don't enjoy using it as much, besides this spot right here where I check if I've posted a video for the week or what my sub count was for the week, because I don't have a separate tracker to track those things. So I like using this right here, knowing what my most watched video is. And I've really been trying to do a lot more reflection questions for myself on my content. So this corner of this page is my favorite. It's the most used. Everything else I don't really keep up with or don't really look for every month. I think that's something to think about going into next year, and I might even adapt this later in the current year just because I don't love it very much and I would rather use it to its fullest potential than just recreate these every month and not get any joy out of them. I don't know. But moving on from these, we have my book club page, which is also slightly redundant because I have a spot for them in my bullet journal. I just don't have a spot to write my little reviews for them aside from my monthly review spots in my journal. I like to see them all together. So I just put the pictures of every book that we've had so far and my star ratings. I still haven't gotten to read The Witch's Heart because it got to me so late on Libby and I'm still waiting to pick it up. I have it now. I just have a couple other books I have to read first. So it's just a simple little spot that I can keep all of my thoughts all together and come back to throughout the end of the year and see what I liked, what I didn't like. But again, it's a little bit redundant because I have it in my bullet journal and other areas that I write my reviews for. But moving on to the things that I do use the most of, that is these three tabs up at the top. We have my physical TBR, my content planner, and my 24 and 2024. Let's go with, we're going for the bottom to the top. So let's go with my physical TBR. This is a database that I kind of set up last year, I think. The only thing I included was changing this videos to include. Let's take a pause and go all the way back to last year. So to find my last year stuff, I go down to this tab that I made called the archive, and I did put all of my 2023 pages in there. And I had one called physical TBR. So last year I had it so when I wanted to include a book in a video, I would type in the name here. So I don't know, let's just go with the same one as above. And then I believe I would highlight it and then link it to one of the pages that I had in my video idea tracker. And I just didn't exactly love how that worked out. So I switched it up a little bit in my new tracker, where it automatically pulls up all of the pages that I linked to my content planner. I don't even know how I did any of this, so if you want a tutorial, I might not be the best person to show you, but I somehow linked my content planner and my physical TBR tracker in this one column, so I can go ahead and just click whatever video I want to include that book in. So say I wanted to include it in my book club part 1, I would just click on that video idea and it links it here. But I've felt like that is super duper helpful, especially on my content planner, because it auto-fills in all of the books that I need per video, but we'll get to that when we get to my content planner. But basically here, I just have a list of every single book that I have on my physical TBR, and I mark down how I own it and if it's available on Hoopla, Libby, or if I already used a credit through Audible and have that. And I also mark down how many hours it is so that I can toggle to see what books have the least amount, but it just helps me find things. I don't usually update this date finished as much as I should, and I don't love how this database works a little bit, because every time I mark my star rating, it puts it in the bottom down here in groups. So all of the 4-star reads I have get grouped down here. So if I need to look back at this for any reason to see what books I need to pull for either a video or something else, they all get moved to the bottom, and it's a little bit hard to navigate. And I don't know what I did wrong, because it did not do this last year, but I probably just messed something up completely. And I don't know what, because again, Notion, not very intuitive for me. It is definitely a learning curve. I've watched so many videos and watched so many tutorials on how to make this work, but for now this works for me. I feel like next year I will keep adding more and more to it until I have a physical TBR tracker that works perfectly for me. But something I do really love right now is my content tracker, content planner. This is heavily influenced by Nat. Like I said at the beginning, she gave me so many good ideas, and I've watched a couple of other YouTubers here and there that I wish I had their name. If I can find them, I will link them in the description, who have shown how they have their content planners as well, because it makes life so much easier. It makes life so much easier. So up here we have my calendar view, and this is always changing. This is always changing. I am moving things around left, right, center. Like this video, it's supposed to come out on a Tuesday. Today, it should have come out this morning. We're just gonna move it till tomorrow, because there's no way I'm editing this and getting out tonight and also making a thumbnail and also linking Nat's video and everything else that I need to link. It's just not happening. I need an extra day. So it's really nice to just be able to move these around wherever I want them. I moved this May reset from Tuesday all the way to Thursday because life happens. So I like the flexibility of doing that. And this content calendar view is linked to this database. I do not know how long it took me to make this. I really don't. I think I reworked it about 100 times and I still kept messing it up. I think I'm at a really solid point now that it works for me, but I don't utilize it as well as I should. I just kind of use these first couple of columns and I kind of ignore all the rest of it, because I added a little bit more than I needed because I watched a video and theirs looked really cool and it looked like it was super helpful. But let's pretend that we were setting up a video for, I don't know, let's say Thursday. So right here I have it set up so when I add something new, it auto populates this template down here where I have a spot for general ideas and brainstorming. I have a spot for a script. I don't use this very often because it's a little bit clunky to use this database right here. And then I have title ideas, thumbnail ideas, description, links. I don't use any of that bottom stuff. I literally only use this top section of it because it's just the way my brain works. And I'll show you one of the videos that I kind of have in the works, or one of my past ones, I don't know. But let's pretend that I'm making a video on books I hate. I don't know, we're just making things up. I have a drop down right here that says if it's an idea, if it's upcoming. Literally never use that upcoming button. I don't. Editing and filming, sometimes I'll mark it as editing if it's a book, if it's a video I've been working on for a really long time. Mostly I just used idea, scrapped, or done. So right now it is in the idea phase. It is going to be a vlog, sure, books I hate as a vlog, and I'm going to post it to YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels. Why not? So I have those multi-selected right there, and the books that I'm going to talk about in this will be, sure, Iron Flame, Sleeping Giants, Two Towers, Silver Chair. I don't know, I'm just picking random things. These books right here. So in my physical TBR tracker, because I selected all of these, now if I were to go back over there, it would show that those books are going to pop up in this video called Books I Hate. And I really love the way that it's connected like that, because it makes things super easy when I need to grab books for videos, and it lets me know which books I haven't planned a video around, so that then I know what is still available for me to make content around. I don't know, it just really helps organize my brain, and I can put in which day I want it to go live on, which we will say the 9th, because that's Thursday. And all of these I don't touch. I don't come in to update it enough. I can say if I film like the A roll of it, which is the sitting down in front of the camera, if I have filmed any B-roll for it, if I've done my initial rough cut. But because I tend to film something in one day and then edit and upload in the second day, it just feels a little bit pointless to come in and update these because of how my system of filming and editing goes. So if I were to do more video planning and like pre-filming and filming of videos well prior to them being out, this might be a little bit more helpful if I had multiple videos in my docket, but I don't. So this is just kind of how it works for me, and you can see it pop up right up here, the books I hate, and it already lists some of the books that I need to read for that, and I can click on it from up here and it's the exact same thing. I'm just gonna delete that so I don't actually think I'm making that video, but let's see if I have anything to show you with the way I do my brainstorming. So right here is the how much do I read with a 9 to 5. I do come in often and just brainstorm what I want it to be. So these are some ideas that I would have for like what I want the video to look like. I want to go through my regular day with you guys. I want to film this over a couple of days so that I can really get a whole picture of what my reading looks like, because on Mondays, Tuesdays, I tend to not be able to read. Wednesdays, Thursdays, I can fit in a little bit of time, but then my Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I have a little bit more time to read. So I wanted to show the differences over the days, and I kind of want to make it more vlog style where I can go through all of the different aspects of my life, all of the little minor details that I have in my life that maybe take up more time than others. So then I added a couple of questions like, when do I have time to read? How much time do I have, to get myself thinking about it, so that when I sit down and make a B-roll schedule of, okay, I want to film this clip of my outfit every day, and I want to film this clip of me walking into work every day and logging into my computer. I don't know, I just want to have a spot that I can look back as I'm planning this out, probably on paper, because I do a little bit better on paper for my filming planning, and have a guide so that it's a little bit more well-rounded of a video. I'm really trying to work on video quality and making it more enjoyable to watch, so I have been trying to jot down as many ideas as I can in this general brainstorming area. But let me show you one of the videos I actually already filmed that I had a script for. So this getting back into reading, I did fully script it out. I put everything that I wanted to say, and I tried to stick with it as much as possible to make that video feel as informative as I possibly could. I broke it down into different sections that I wanted to go over, and I just had bullet points for pretty much everything, and some of it was quite literally written out word for word that I wanted to read. I did go off script here and there just because it felt a little bit more natural, it felt less robotic. So I read through this over and over again. I planned it for a couple of hours one day, a couple of hours the next day. I practiced it the day of, and every section that I had, I did try and read through what I wanted to say and then tried to explain myself as best as I could, sticking to the script. And I felt like it was a really good video because of it. And I did attempt to do title ideas and thumbnail ideas, but that was one of the very first ones that I used this video planner for. and I haven't really gone back to the title ideas and thumbnail ideas since, but I do tend to try and rewrite everything as a script at the very beginning under that general brainstorming section, because I do think it helps and I think it makes for better videos. So that's where my brain has been lately with my video planning, and I find it really fun. So I think that this one is really working out for me so far, and I really enjoy linking it to my TBR because it just makes things feel so much more streamlined. And something I used to do with this content planner was I would also add it to my Google Planner, or what's it called, Google Calendar, but I don't really end up doing that anymore. Notion was supposed to have linked with Google Calendar, and it does in some sense, where I can see some of the things on my Notion calendar that are supposed to be on my Google Calendar, but I don't see my content linked there. So I don't really know if I've picked a wrong setting, but I just check Notion when I want to know what videos I want to put out, and I check my Google Calendar when I want to know which book I need to read, because my Google Calendar is my reading schedule. Anyway, let's keep going with my Notion, with my last page, which is my 24 and 24. Let's stop it right here because there's some that I just don't fully want to share right now. They're more personal to me, but I'm trying to track 24 things that I will do 24 times within the year. Some of them are much easier than others, like every time I get a paycheck, I budget my money and I mark that off on my tracker. Every time that I sit down to write anything, fan fiction or just any sort of story, I track it right here, and over here is a spot that I mark when I fully sit down and do content days, which means that I practice my script or I write my script and then I film something and then I edit something, like where I spend more than just a handful of hours really working on a video or multiple video ideas. So I've only had a couple of like sit down, really focus on my content planning, and I want to have more of them. So there are 21 other things that I am tracking, and I come in here pretty much weekly and see what I have been up to date on. So I like using that page a lot, but I would say my content planner and 24 and 24 are the main two that I use on Notion the most. Everything else is just here and there. But if that wasn't already long enough for you, let's go over to my CAWPILE because I enjoy her. I use her quite often. This is from G at Book Roast. She creates these CAWPILE templates so that you can track your reading every year. She did not release a new one for 2024, so this is still her 2023 one, which works perfectly. And she put out a new color scheme. I just decided to make it match with the, I guess, brand colors I've been trying to use this year. This looks exactly the same as hers, besides some of the columns I did hide. There are just some things that I didn't feel like I ever cared to track, like this one right here I think was like a secondary genre. I never really looked back and did anything with it. And then scrolling past, I think there were other couple of trackers, like if it's a translated work, if it's LGBTQ, like what type of representation it is. I never ended up going in and like typing those things out. I just use the things that have drop downs or they're super easy to add in. But the only columns that I customized was I added one for representation. So if I feel like there is a substantial amount of representation, whether that is a character having like a diverse background through their race or their culture or their religion, or if a character is queer in any way, shape, or form, if the author is queer or of color, anything like that that I feel like is substantial for representation, I do mark yes or no. And I also included 2 columns for the amount of money I saved on the physical book and the amount of money I saved on the audiobook. So because I'm trying to use my Libby app and Hoopla app a lot more, I want to see how much money I'm saving. And I feel like a very standard way to track that is to just go onto Amazon right after and see what it would have cost to purchase that through Amazon and to purchase the audiobook through Audible. And whatever numbers those say are what I marked. I feel like those are the cheapest versions of them too. So in my mind, I feel like by tracking the cheaper numbers, I'm actually really saving quite a lot more because I would have probably purchased through a bookstore instead of Amazon, and it would have been more expensive. So that's literally a tangent that nobody needs to hear right now, but I think it's really interesting to see how much I would have saved had I just gone through the cheap route of getting it through Amazon. Anyway, we will come back to these columns later because I have included the total for them somewhere else within the tracker. At the bottom, there's the reading stats tab, which takes you to the standard graphs that G already made. I didn't change anything besides deleting the ones that I didn't use and adding one at the very bottom. So I'm trying not to give you whiplash by scrolling too fast. So we're gonna go very, very slow until I get to the very last one, and you can glance at all of my cute little graphs and charts that I love so much. Here we go, is the one for representation. So this is just a quick little visual to see if the books I'm reading have representation. I am not perfect with tracking it. Sometimes I'm a little subjective with what I think is good representation. I don't know. It's just kind of an ideal that I would like to have more than 50% have some sort of representation. So coming here to look to make sure that I'm still over that 50% mark is just super helpful as I'm reading. But I do try and look a little bit deeper into some of that with the other details of her tracker that she already has. But moving on, at the bottom we have a series tracker, which again is the same as she already created. I just put in the series that I have started or that I already own. Some of these, like this chunk right here that doesn't even have the first one, they are on my to be read shelf. I just haven't started them yet. Nothing is very special over here. Then we have the new books tab. I don't remember if this is one that she includes in her general CAWPILE, but if it is, I do know I modified it a bit. I don't know if I had created one before and then modified it, or if this is hers and I modified it. But I did add in a row. I believe I added this one in to add up the cost of all of the books I'm spending money on. So I'll bring my receipts home and I'll throw in what each of the books are. And then I added where I purchased it from. So I made a little drop down that has all of the places that I tend to buy books from, as well as just a general vacation purchase. So this is something that I kind of throw anything that if I buy it from a random market, I throw it under vacation purchase. It's kind of just outside of the norm of what I usually purchase. But we have Amazon, Barnes & Noble, the independent bookstore that's in Phoenix, Book Outlet, Goodwill, Poison Pen is another Arizona-based bookstore. We have a vacation purchase, a book sale, Half Price Books, and Target. Those tend to be where I buy the books the most. And then there's this little spot that marks if you read it. And scrolling past the cool parts, we're gonna go down to the bottom where I have a graph of where I mainly purchase my books. And like I see here, I mostly buy my books from Changing Hands, which is the independent bookstore. Above that, we have the format that I buy books in. I've only bought one ebook this year. The rest of them have all been physical. I tend to be a physical book reader. And up here is just how many books I purchased per month. January, we started off very strong with 11 on the very first day, despite wanting to be in a no spend year. But I've been much better since, been using Libby quite a lot. But the exciting part is up here, where I told you those two columns that I marked how much I would have saved if I bought it physical or through Audible. I have them set to add up the sum of everything right here. So far I've saved over $700 because I've used Libby and Hoopla and whatever else I can find books for free on so much. It's over $700, but I've only spent a little over $200, and I kept thinking that, oh my gosh, I spent over $200, that's so much. But like looking at the savings, it's a good ratio. I could have spent nearly $900 had I not used Libby or Hoopla. So I find that really cool. I love seeing that number go up every time I use Libby or Hoopla. And this just right here tells you how many books you acquired and how many of those you have read. And I do believe that G must have made this because I don't remember setting this up here. But that's my favorite tracker of this. And I just have one little tiny one down here, which is my Clear My Shelves tracker. I still haven't completed a single video for this, but this is how I track how many books are on and off my shelf. So I have a little drop down here that either says I read it, it's new, I DNF'd it, or I unhauled it, and that's how I can keep track of if something came in, if my TBR goes up, and if I read it, unhauled it, or DNF'd it, my TBR goes down. So I just write down the book here, which video I'm including it on. Some of them I don't have a plan for, and then I go in and manually type in what that number would represent on my TBR towards the end. So my TBR is currently at 98 books, and I have not talked to you about pretty much any of these, so I really need to get back into my Clear My Shelf series. I'm just having a hard time organizing my brain for that one, so it might still be a ways away until I figure out how I want to film that. But yeah, like I said, this was such a rambly video. I feel like I've been filming for an hour. I think I've been filming for an hour. But I hope that this shows you a little bit into how I organize things. I don't want to say I hope it's helpful, because I really didn't give you any explanation for anything, but I hope that if you saw something that you would like more explanation on, you let me know, and I can try and be more helpful in that video and walk you through how I did some things, how I set some things up. Notion, she's another beast that I can attempt to break down for you. It just might be very rambly and very disorganized as I attempt to explain what I did for my Notion, but I really enjoy using all of these trackers. I really like having somewhere that I can dump all of the random scribblings of notes that I have just everywhere and organize them somehow. So Notion has been super helpful getting me organized and motivated to make more videos and make my content a little bit better. And CAWPILE is just so great at keeping track of how I feel about my reading and other interesting stats about my reading too. So I love spreadsheets, I love digital organization, hands-on organization, all of it. So again, if you have any questions about this, let me know. I will do my best to give you a little tutorial on some of it. But I hope you like this video. I hope that you were okay with me being super rambly and talkative. I need to go though, because I haven't drank like nearly enough water today, and I also probably need to start editing this so it goes out tomorrow. So I will see you hopefully next Tuesday for another bookish video. But yeah, I'm gonna go for now. Thank you for watching.